Star Wars geek girls. They're geek girls that like Star Wars. And sometimes cry.
Hello?
Hello, this is Chris.
Yes, hi.
Hi.
Hi, so sorry I'm late. I apologize.
Yes, fine.
We were just doodling.
I don't think anyone's in a rush right now.
Nice.
So
Okay. No, I really apologize. But is this okay? An okay time then?
yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
We are
so
good.
Zoom meeting automatically started recording, so we're recording. We'll just chop off the beginning.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're just gonna talk about you being a droid and working on the Mandalorian and all that.
Okay.
I'm sure my
dare
dad.
you try to hunt Baby Yoda?
I'm sure my dad told you, but I did want to point out that we bought my Jawa robes from you like 12 years ago.
Oh, he did mention that. That's awesome. Yeah.
I thought it was cool.
That's cool. Well, do you want me to start with the introduction or anything?
Yeah.
Okay. My name's Chris Bartlett, and I am an actor appearing on The Mandalorian. I appear as Zero, and I apologize. Garbage truck
You're good.
just rolled up.
Yeah, well, obviously,
Awesome.
I'm Zoe, and I'm here with Lizzy for the podcast, and we're interviewing Chris as he introduced himself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there we go. And I'm Chris Bartlett, actor who appears on The Mandalorian as Q90, as well as a couple other characters. And for the last 13 years, I've been appearing as the backup for Anthony Daniels as C3PO on television and other live appearances. But I'm really happy to be with you guys today.
Yeah, I think recently was that you on the Lego? What was that, Lego Masters show?
Yes,
3PO
that's right.
was there. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that was a really fun show to have the droids with these really talented builders. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, you're everywhere. So I just want to ask you like how you got into the droid world, I guess, and what made you want to do like a 3PO costume and get involved with that.
Yeah, that's a great question. I had started as a member of the 501st, and I had built a bunch of other costumes starting in 2000. And I built, the Stormtrooper and Tusken Raiders and Jawas for my kids, as you know, and also Boba Fett. And then I wanted to build a C3PO and just started collecting parts. But a lot of the parts were really hard, wouldn't work as a costume. And so my partner and I restored a bunch of parts to what they would have looked like for A New Hope. And that took about 3 years. And so at the end of that, I had sent a photo and a short video to a friend of mine that happened to work at Lucasfilm at the time, just to because we're both fans, and he knew I was building costumes, and so I was just keeping him updated on the latest. So a little bit later, LucasArts, because of that costume, contacted me. LucasArts, which was the video game arm of Lucasfilm at the time, they called and said that they wanted to use my costume for something. And that was what, when you're building these costumes, Lizzy, that when you're building these costumes, wouldn't it be awesome if Lucasfilm saw it and appreciated it for something that was worthy of being used in some way? And so, but the problem was I didn't have it at the time. I had sent it off to be chromed. And so I was heartbroken because I thought, oh no, we're not going to be able to use it. But they said, that's okay. And they sped up the process of it getting chromed. And then they flew me from North Carolina out to Lucasfilm to finish building the costume there. And then the next day we left for Australia to make an appearance as C3PO. And that was in 2006. And then ever since then, they just give me a call when they need a backup for Anthony Daniels.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so exciting.
Yeah. And so far I've been able to meet a president of the United States and go to the Oscars and numerous other TV appearances and commercials that I just never would have ever imagined, even though I was dreaming of being able to be used in some way. I just never could imagine how it could have worked out, and somehow it did.
It's everyone's dream.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. So what were you most excited to do? Like, was it Mandalorian? Like, just anything?
Yeah. Every time they called me, it seemed like it was better than the time before, like, we need you to come on a Disney cruise and appear, make special appearance as C3PO. And I was like, that sounds amazing. I've never, I've only been on a cruise once before, but a Disney cruise, that sounds awesome. And while I was on the Disney cruise, they called and said, the Oscars called and they want C3PO to make an appearance. And
wow.
And they said, but we're going to check with Anthony Daniels. And I said, well, okay, I'm willing to do it, but I'm sure he's going to do it. So thank you very much for calling. That's awesome. I'm just glad that fans get to see 3PO on TV again. And then they called back and said, we need to get you off of that ship because we need to get you to Los Angeles because you are going to be on the Oscars.
Jeez, wow.
So they didn't have to pull me off of the ship. It worked out, so they just flew me to Los Angeles, and I did I practiced all of the animation to match Anthony Daniels' voice track. And so he and I worked together a lot on several projects where he provides the voice and I provide the the performance. And so when the Lego Masters show called, I assumed it would be the same thing where he would record the voice and I would do the performance and then he would do the voice. I just figured it was going to be him. But then when Lucasfilm said, you're approved to do the voice, I was, I'd been working on the voice for 14 years. And so I was just really thrilled to be able to do that on the show.
That's so cool. Okay.
Can you do the voice right now?
Yes, do it.
Well, if you were to be on a podcast with C3PO, he would, his primary function is etiquette and protocol, so he's very proper. And he would say, "Why, hello, I am C3PO, human cyborg relations. And, this is my counterpart, R2D2. And Miss Zoe, it's wonderful to be with you. And Miss Lizzy, where are you from?"
That's so cool.
And then you would tell him where you're from, and he, And so, Lizzy, where were you born?
Mexico.
Mexico. Oh, the Mexico system. Yes, I'm quite familiar. Wonderful. Well, it's very nice to be here. And so when we're doing the Lego Masters show, a lot of it was ad-libbed because that's just how Will Arnett is. He's very improv master. He just kind of goes with the flow, and he's very funny and stuff. So that's just how I did it. As a guest, on the show, 3PO would go around and discuss, kind of like make observations, and Ewoks, they're my favorite. When they're talking about the different builds, I was just complimentary and also, noticing certain things about their builds that a lot of it didn't make it into the final cut of the show, but we had an awesome time. And let's see, so then whenever I do a show as 3PO, I always reveal the character to the cast and the crew first. I don't want them to meet and see like, oh, it's a guy in a costume and, like that. So whenever they see 3PO or me for the first time, they're seeing 3PO, and I come out and do an introduction, and, I'm usually there with R2 and we're like arguing or whatever. But I'm really trying to pay homage to Anthony Daniels' work to, since he can't be there, I am trying to present C3PO in the most respectful and appropriate way that I can. And so that I try to make it as indistinguishable as possible from the real character that George Lucas and Anthony Daniels has developed. And it really makes it fun, because when the crew and the cast meet C3PO for the first time and don't know how this is possible or who it is or whatever, it really makes for a magical, experience, I think. It would for me as a fan to meet C3PO and R2 in real life, so that's really what it's, because I love this character. I love Star Wars. I love the whole galaxy. And, I want someone to have, a really personal and, as Star Wars in universe as possible experience.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just have all compliments.
Oh, no, it's fine.
But that's so cool. So then,
now, have you guys done costuming?
Huh?
You guys have done costuming, right?
Yes. We're both Sabines from Star Wars Rebels.
Yes, awesome. Wow.
Even if I wanted to, I don't think I would be able to sound like Sabine.
Well, I didn't think I could sound like 3PO either, because my normal voice isn't, a high kind of British, voice. But you know what I did is, and you can do this too, is I listened to, for 80 minutes a day, because I would drive back and forth to work, 80 minutes a day, I would listen to the DVDs in my car, just the C3PO scenes. And I would just try and copy over and over and over. I would hear it, listen to it loop and try and copy it, And at first, it didn't sound anything like it. And, so now it's a little more similar, but it just took practice, just going over and over. But yeah, nobody really talks like C3PO in real life, but you can learn to do Sabine's voice. You just practice.
That would be cool, since we also have like a mask kind of or at least I always have my helmet on, because I don't like to have a wig.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, because when you meet, like, what kind of events do you go to where you're in the costume?
Like conventions and charity events.
Yeah. So wouldn't it be cool, because there's a lot of people at conventions who are dressed in costumes because just for the fun of it, right? But wouldn't it be cool if people thought, is this a real, is this a Disney character, or is this someone from Lucasfilm? Wouldn't it be cool? And the way that you do that is you stay in character when you're meeting people and they're wanting to take pictures. And so you learn kind of some of the things Sabine would say, and, you think about things the way she would think about things, and, have a few phrases, like, 4 phrases, say that she would say. And then when you're interacting with someone, you can turn the conversation into, that everything that you say is something that Sabine would say, and it really makes for a really cool experience.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, because my little brother Axel does Ezra. And we were at an event one time, and he was Ezra, and like a bunch of he's really good at making friends.
Yeah.
And so he was running around as Ezra, and they were like, Ezra, where are your parents? And he looks at them so sad, and he's like, I don't know. And then he runs off.
That's
This was
great
season
because
one.
because that character is, doesn't really have biological parents on the show. He does have a family, but he is kind of a loner. So that's good. That's cool.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Axel's definitely working on
That's
that.
neat. That's great. It just makes for a cool experience. So that's what I do on the shows, and even on commercials. When I do a commercial, I usually come out on set all fully dressed in character, and when you meet people, because then their performances are real. Like they
Right.
they're also talented actors and stuff, and but it makes for a more of a collaborative experience mixed with magic, because they're also kind of like they're also having this feeling like, oh, I just met R2D2 or C3PO, and now we're also doing this performance, and it just makes it cool. So that's why and that's what I did when I was doing just conventions, as just not an actor, but as just a fan who would like to be a performer. I would, like, if I was going as Boba Fett, I would just go by myself, and I would wander and stop, and I'd stare at people, or I'd go up to a balcony and stand there with my rifle and just look out over, and
Right.
but I did have the voice that I was doing for Boba Fett, and so he's a character who is very quiet, doesn't have a lot to say, but when he does, it's very deliberate. And so anyway, so I would just practice there, and then I was like, I really love performing. I hope this can turn into something more
Right.
someday. So when the Mandalorian called, because they knew that I did C3PO, I was so excited because it was for a droid, and I was like, oh, I know how to do droids, and but it was a different kind of droid. Zero is not a kind of fussy, appropriate,
Yeah.
kind of a droid. He is, but he can be, sarcastic, or he can be very matter of fact. But when they called for me, didn't know really anything about the character other than a picture that I saw, and that he was a bounty hunter. So I was like, oh, maybe it could be like Boba Fett mixed with C3PO, and but as I got to see the character, as an actor, you want to bring ideas to the project, instead of having the director just tell you, everything, what to do, how to act, how to move, and stuff like that. So, I just had ideas. Like, he looks kind of like a praying mantis, his face. And
Yeah.
so I went home, and I, after I did the screen test, where I just kind of moved around and drew my blaster and kind of walked around at the studio, I just walked. They were like, okay, put on the head, come over here. But when I was walking over to the screen test, I was already trying to be the character. So I would glare at people as I walked by them, and just move very smoothly, and isolate all the body parts, because he is a droid. And
Right.
and that was really effective, because people in the studio were like, oh, wow, that looks great, because they just saw the costume before. So so I went home and I watched a bunch of videos of praying mantis bugs and how they move.
Oh, cool.
And if you go and watch a video of praying mantis, and then go back and watch episode 6 on the Mandalorian, hopefully you'll be able to see some of my movements are similar to the praying mantis. And anyway, I was just trying to bring an idea to it, and that seemed to work.
That's so cool. And that's really like that was very useful that you like already knew how to be a droid, and then here you are being another. That's so cool.
Right.
So how was being on the set? Like, were you excited? Were you nervous?
Well, I really prepared myself, because like I told you, I looked up, how I should move and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. And so when I got there, I wasn't nervous, because I was very prepared, but I was so excited. I was so, like you can imagine being on a Star Wars set and you are a character, and Jon Favreau is directing you, or Dave Filoni or Deborah Chow, are telling you what to do, or where to be or whatever. And so the very first time I stepped foot on the set was not as Zero, it was as the ferryman, and who appears in the first episode, the guy with the snap, he's out on the ice. So when they told me I was going to be shooting, I went and waited, and then they said, okay, Chris, we're gonna have your scene now. And it just felt like everything slowed down to really slow motion,
Mm-hmm.
And so, because it is such a responsibility that we have to, not only because, to do a good performance, but because not only because I love Star Wars, but because everyone loves Star Wars. And you want to provide a performance that, really makes this feel like Star Wars, like the original trilogy. And when I say that, I mean, because, that was the first one that I saw. It was the first one a lot of people saw. But it just has something so relatable to it. And that was really how Mandalorian, we were trying to make it like, the original trilogy. Familiar, but new. And so there was just a weight on me that I put on myself, because I really wanted to give the fans something that felt really in the Star Wars universe.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, the next time that later when I was doing Zero, they said, okay, I knew I had the script. I knew that I was one day going to be flying the ship, which is something that you practice as a 7-year-old kid in a cardboard box with buttons and drawing and stuff on the thing. And you're like,
you had more practice.
Yeah, right. Pushing the buttons and you pretend you're going to hyperspace and everything. And now I was going to be doing that for real in an actual, Star Wars production. And so they said, okay, Chris, we're going to have you go get familiar with Mandalorian's cockpit.
Casually,
casually, like, so why don't you go do that? And I was like, yeah, okay, I'm playing it really cool, being professional. I'm a professional performer. I'm not, yes, okay. And then I go over to the cockpit and I'm inside it. Nobody's around and I'm pushing all the buttons and doing all the levers, and I'm firing lasers and, pretending I'm going into hyperspace. And it was so awesome. It was so great.
Yeah.
So that was really my most fun, was flying the ship, because Zero had, several scenes where he's flying the ship, and I was just doing whatever I wanted to do, pushing the buttons, and it was really realistic, because you have the volume or the video walls around you. And so when I say, jumping to hyperspace now, when I do that, all of the stars, just like you see in the film, are right in front of me, and they're blasting all around me, stretching to infinity.
That's so cool.
And it was, it was just so realistic. It was practical too. There was no CG on the in front of me. It was just all real. So it really made it magical for me.
Oh, that's so cool. That's
Yeah.
kind of just me at the Galaxy's Edge Falcon ride.
Yeah, it was really similar to that, because everything you see around you is so real,
Mm-hmm.
And that was it felt a lot like that. I hadn't been on that attraction while I was filming this, so when I did go to the Galaxy's Edge and fly the Falcon, I was like, oh wow, I'm really glad that everybody can experience what it felt like to fly a real Star Wars, ship.
Yeah.
I have to ask, because you playing Q9, is there what would you say is like the main, I guess, difference between playing a character that is already established and that you have to like adhere to another performance versus creating a new character that you can play with more?
That is a great question. It's different. It's not, to me, it wasn't better or worse. It was different. C3PO you know, you have all this reference, you have all of Anthony Daniels' performances that you can draw from. And Zero, I didn't have anything. So I really did feel like we were making it up right there. But because like I said, I was prepared with something of what I would make him into be. That's what he became, because as an actor, you are putting yourself into this character, and you're mixing your performance with the costume into something that's bigger than both of those things. So for me, it was so satisfying, because I was like, you know, I really want to do a good job. I didn't ever think like, okay, this is my character. I always thought of it as this is Jon Favreau's character and Dave Filoni's character. I really want to make sure I do a good job. You know, so but it was so cool to be able to, you know, make it up or bring your own ideas to it. And then John and Dave and the other directors, Deborah Chow, she was the one who directed me flying when I was flying the ship. Rick Famuyiwa is the director who directed me when I was being introduced to the crew. You know, when Zero and Berg and
Okay.
the other characters,
Yes.
Xi'an and Mando, and you know, when he was being introduced to them, that was Rick Famuyiwa directing that. But I'll tell you one.
Sassy to the Mando.
What's that?
You were sassy to the Mando.
Oh, that's a great way to describe it. Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing is, you know, they obviously they provide, you know, you with a script, and there are lines that are already written. But as I was reading them, I was like, oh, wow, I can see, you know, they already told me, you know, Mando doesn't like droids. So I already felt like I had this cool edge, because he's the star of the show and he doesn't like me. That's that. So I played with that and was like, you know, I'm gonna kind of like rub his nose in it, you know, that he doesn't like droids and I get to fly his ship and he doesn't get to, you know. And so
mean.
You know, that's why I like, you know, I lean into him when I tell him, you know, my response time is faster than organics, and I'm smarter too, you know, and I tap my helmet like I have a brain, you know. But I lean into him really close to make it, you know, kind of like irritate him. And then that's why the other character, who's kind of the boss of the crew, played by Boone, he kind of like, you know, pushes me away and says, all right, that's enough, you know. Don't
Right.
mind. He's a little rough around the edges. And so I played that the whole time, that Zero is rough around the edges. That's his, you know, his characteristic. Because for humans, you know, we all have these, you know, we have to like hold our temper sometimes, and we have to, you know, hold our emotions back sometimes, or sometimes we're very emotional. Where 3PO, you know, he can seem emotional, but he's not human. And he doesn't really ever have a temper, and he's very appropriate, you know, his etiquette is appropriate. So he would never do anything to upset anyone that in his mind. But Zero,
Right.
he like, you know, he's a droid and smarter than you. So you'll just have to live with that, you know? And I thought that was such a cool difference than 3PO.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's I keep saying that's cool, but it really is cool.
It is cool. It's cool
to
to
create
me too.
this character in Star Wars. Wars.
I know. And then they made a action figure, which like
Did you buy many
I thought
of them?
I would always just be, you know, C3PO. He's Anthony Daniels' action figure. He's not mine. So when I found out Funko was doing a pop character, and it's not somebody else's character, that was what another dream come true, you know?
Yeah.
So,
How many did you buy?
5. But I probably could have bought more, but you know, questions would have been asked.
That's
You
so
know,
cool.
I want other people to enjoy the character too, but I have my little Zero my little bobblehead Zero sitting right here. It's
Yeah,
really
you
cool.
really should be proud of that.
Yeah, it's really awesome.
So, The Mandalorian, the
Mhm.
show. So, one of the most important pieces of it, at least to me,
Mhm.
is the child.
Yes, the child.
How did you enjoy chasing around the child in that show?
Well, the child is real, and all of my scenes with the child were real, and I got to work with him in person, face to face. He's very quiet. He's not really talkative, but
That's
he's
like the
so
Mandalorian.
important, right? But he's so important to everybody, and that was something that Zero was really, I don't think he knew that the bounty was a living thing. Well, I guess he knew it was a living thing, but I don't think he knew it was that living thing, so he's looking all over for the ship for him. But for me as an actor working with the child,
Whatever, rub it in.
right, was so I got to think of another word for magical, because so much of this show is magical. It was really cool because he's moving, he's blinking, his head is turning, his hands are doing the magic hands thing, and it's all happening right in front of me. So it just made it so easy to pretend, because that's really, as an actor, that's all we're doing is playing pretend, but we're trying to do it in an effective way so that you feel something about the story. But I will tell you, I haven't shared this, so this will be an exclusive for you. Do you remember in episode 6, the prisoner, when Zero is sitting in the seat, and he hears something, and he turns around and he sees the child standing there, right?
Yes.
And he turns back around, and he's gone. And then Zero has to get up and leave the cockpit to go look for him, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I leave the cockpit, leave my seat, I go through the door, that goes to the back of the ship. Well, just to the right is a hole where a person stands, a crew member stands, because they're operating things. And in the costume, I didn't realize there was a hole there. So when I walked through the door and turned right, I fell down through this hole and landed on a person. A person, his name was Mike Manziel. He's a puppeteer. And I landed on him, and I felt terrible, of course.
No.
But I didn't know there's a hole, and it was dark in there and everything. So
And
anyway,
you
that
have
was
the
embarrassing.
helmet and stuff.
Yeah, helmet for safety, but it didn't do me very well, because I hit him with my knees, and I felt that. Anyway, but that wasn't the only time I fell on the show. So I do all my own stunts.
Wow.
Whether I know it or not. No, but later in episode 7, I play the droid in the cantina. The RA7, the chrome droid behind the
behind the counter.
And
okay, cool.
and so I done stunt training for that and everything, and they had a pad ready for me, because at the end of that scene, the RA7 droid falls down, and he's disintegrated, or he dies because he's shot, right? And so that's where I was supposed to land, and we practiced it over and over, and when we go to shoot it, one of the stormtroopers bumped into me and knocked me off balance, and I fell on the hard floor in this hard fiberglass costume. And you can see this moment in the Disney Gallery series show that just launched yesterday or today, where in the scene, I think it's about 12 minutes into the episode, you see Deborah Chow. It's her section where they're talking about her, and you'll see me fall down on the hard floor and my legs go flying up. That was not me doing my own stunts. That was an accident because the stormtrooper bumped into me. But anyway, it was, you get back up and you take a break, and then you get back in there and you do, the more of the shots.
You do your own stunts, whether it's on accident or on purpose.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So we made sure and land on the pad every time. But still, if you've worn armored costumes, there's, pinches and spots and stuff like that. But,
yeah,
at the end of the day, I was in Star Wars and the Mandalorian, and I felt like, I could do more of this.
no matter how many times you fall, you will keep doing it.
Yes. Yeah. Because it is so fun.
You're so lucky.
Yes.
That's so cool. Because I would be freaking out if I was asked to do a Sabine, but
you would when you get the email, when you get the phone call, and then when you go in for the, you're driving to the set to do it. But when you get on there, you're surrounded by all these professional people, and you want to be professional because you want them to call you back, right?
Right.
So inside you contain all this, excitement and all this emotion. You channel it instead of exploding with, excitement glitter. You channel it into this, this one stream of performance, and you put all of your energy into being that character. And then when you're all done, then you explode with glitter, inside. But, because everyone is so, professional, but everyone on set, loves Star Wars. Everyone's seen Star Wars. Everyone loves it, except for, the client. You remember who the client is?
Oh, Werner Herzog.
Werner Herzog, right. He was the epitome. He has been an actor, a director, a writer, a producer for way longer than I've been alive, and he, being there as an actor, he was very, very serious. And so when I was getting food one day, and I was still on this, I was so excited. And I saw him, we were both standing there eating cheese and crackers. And this is the first time I'm ever meeting him or talking to him. And I said, "Isn't this so exciting to be part of this?" And he was very quiet. And he goes, "This is serious work." And I was like, inside, I was like, oh no, I shouldn't have said anything. And he said, "We are creating characters that are breathing, living things that live or die. And this is serious work. Everything you do is for this character." And I was like,
what do you say after that?
I was quiet. I was really quiet. And I was like, yep.
You're like, yeah, man.
I agree. That's exactly what I was thinking. Yep.
Yeah.
Right. But it was actually a master class for me in 2 minutes of how you are on set. You are telling a story with a great responsibility to Star Wars fans. And this needs to be powerful, and they need to feel something. It can't just be me bouncing around on switches and, in cockpits and goofing around. It has to be the Star Wars universe.
Right.
And I was so grateful that I had that just 2-minute interaction with him. I learned a whole semester, a whole year of acting class in those 2 minutes with Werner Herzog. It was really a special moment.
I'm guessing you didn't point out that your character wasn't living and breathing.
Great. Oh man. What?
No.
I was so stunned at the moment, but wow. Next time I work with him, I'm going to say that.
Oh, Zoe.
That's what I thought when you said that. Yes. I was like, well, it's a droid.
I would just be in awe.
Actually, I would push up my glasses and say, actually, I don't breathe, And then he would just walk away in disgust.
I
Right.
I think that's so cool that you were able to meet all these amazing actors and all the people behind the set. So I just remember this with Warner, this one part, because if he's now that I know that he's like this serious person,
Yeah.
it's even funnier to me when he I think it was one of the showings of like the Mandalorian, like first 2 or 3 episodes.
Mhm.
And wait, Dad,
This is the premiere, right?
come here, Dad. You tell the story. Dad's very good.
Oh, hey.
Here, Dad. The Werner story.
Warner story.
Yeah.
Oh, I think
about
they told that story
the
already,
child.
didn't they?
Yeah.
I don't remember it. It
What?
was like they were doing the thing and they were doing the scene. Hi, Chris. How are you?
Hey, how's it going, Mr. Paralis?
Yeah, pretty good. How's it going, Mr. 3PO or Zero or what is it? What do we call
The
it?
RA7, right? Yes.
Ferryman.
The ferryman, right.
The ferryman
It's
was
going
like the
great.
coolest
It's great to hear your
outfit,
voice.
by the way.
What's that?
I just think that the ferryman's outfit was just super
Yes.
cool.
It was.
Yeah.
It was cool.
It was
I loved it. I loved his mask. It was so familiar to the spy on Mos Eisley, you know?
Yeah.
It was really cool.
You got to be a cool Cubaz.
Yes, right.
You know?
That's right. So you have a story about Werner Herzog.
Yeah, when we went to, I think you were there at the Mandalorian premiere.
Uh-huh.
They
And he
were
was
talking.
doing the Q&A.
Yeah, they were doing a Q&A, and Filoni and Favreau came out at the end and were like, okay, we have the one last story, and it's like Werner Herzog was, shooting with the baby and stuff, and we didn't know if the puppet was going to work. Like, we had the super crazy expensive puppet, but also we were shooting empty plates so that ILM could, replace it with CG if they had to, and we wanted to have options.
Yeah.
And Werner was looking at us and going like, what are you doing? And he was like, asking about why, no, leave the puppet there. Like, you are cowards, leave the puppet there. Like,
yeah.
Believe in the puppet. Like,
that's right.
So I just thought that was really hilarious. That he's like,
cowards.
You're cowards, leave the puppet, shoot with the puppet.
That's right. That's right. He was very serious about the child was a real character. And that made it even more real for all of us.
Yeah. And they said at some point when he was shooting with the child that, like, they would yell cut and he would continue to interact with the child as if the child was the child.
Right. Well, have you ever done this? Have you ever done this with R2? You guys have appeared with R2D2 before, right?
Plenty. Yeah. A few times.
So have you ever tried this where you talk to R2 and see if the performer is paying attention? So like you say to R2, like, so R2, what have you been doing today? And if the performer is on their game, R2 will talk back to you and just try and see how long you can keep a conversation going with R2D2, because as you get into it and you're doing it, you sort of lose a little bit of reality and you feel and realize you're talking to R2D2 and you're having a conversation with R2. And if as a performer, you can do that for other guests or people at conventions or events or whatever, it makes it way more than just, like I was talking to the girls, way more than just a momentary, oh, it's a person who has a cool costume. No, this is like the real character. I mean, I'm sure you've done this, right, with your character.
Yeah. Like that's total, especially when you're like talking to young kids. You do I do my best to be like, yeah, that's right. No hair is back at the ship with the ghost.
Yes, exactly.
You do whatever you can, but
right.
When we talk to R2, most of the times we end up dancing more than I think I would like. I'm not sure how that happens.
We talk to Chopper more.
Yeah, if there's a Chopper, we like
Chopper,
really try to get into it and keep him.
Yes.
What else? I think one of my favorite moments like that was back during like season 1 of Rebels. Axel had just got his first. Story, yeah. Oh, you told it already?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that was cool.
Dun, dun, dun. That's it.
That's yes, the end right. As Ezra, right?
Minutes. Yeah, as Ezra, all the little kids were coming in like, what happened to your parents? And Axel's like 9 years old, like, I don't know, man.
I don't know. Perfect.
It's been a tough life.
Yeah. Well, cool.
That was a lot of fun. Well, good to talk to you, and I'm sure
It's good to talk to you
in the future. I'm going to let my daughter have her podcast back now.
Okay. All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye, Zoe.
Hi.
Oh, yes. That's my, every time we podcast, Dad pops in.
That's great. That's good. I love you. I love your family. I love that you guys, costume together. You build costumes together. You have become such a favorite fan family in the Star Wars universe. I mean, I've seen you at conventions, tons of conventions, but also in footage of those conventions. Lucasfilm really thinks highly of your family. I mean, I'm not a Lucasfilm spokesperson, but I know people who work there, and I do know that, your family is really special to the Lucasfilm family and the Star Wars fan galaxy.
Yeah, I'm very grateful, especially because I think my favorite thing was either when we went to go see The Mandalorian, or also I really loved when we went to Celebration Orlando, and they were like, oh yeah, just come on stage with us.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
That must have felt amazing to you.
It was great. It was super, I was super nervous, but I was glad I had my helmet.
Yes, right.
But it was kind of weird because we went on stage. I was so happy. They're like, okay, everyone, you can go and sit down. I sat down next to Sam Witwer, and I was like, wow, this is so great. And I was
what
super
it's
nervous.
Like, right? You know what it's like to step from, the step from the world of the fan across the line onto the Star Wars stage. That's what it feels like. And suddenly you're different, not different from other people, but different inside. Like, you feel this responsibility probably to uphold the character and not do anything inappropriate with the character, or make them the best, representation of Sabine. Okay, I got a question for you.
Oh, yes.
About Sabine. So, in The Mandalorian, he never takes off his helmet.
Right.
But Sabine is also a Mandalorian, right?
Yes.
And she takes off her helmet. So why does she take off her helmet and he doesn't?
So, I mean, I don't know. Dave Filoni has never whispered these answers to me.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, it might have to do with the Night of the Thousand Tears. Maybe. I'm not really sure, but there's also different clans for Mandalorians. So it might just be their own set of rules that they have, their own little in their own little gang.
Yeah.
But I don't know, because I did find that really interesting that he never takes off his helmet, and it's this almost religious kind of thing, and no one's allowed to take him off, but he I guess he can take it off, but he can't let other people see it, which,
right.
Yeah. And then when
because he has to eat, right?
Right. Yes.
So he takes it out. See, you are a Mandalorian, more of a Mandalorian expert than I am. I just know droids, and my only experience with Mandalorians is with Din Djarin, and so. But you know more about. I really like your explanation about not only their different clans, but the Night of a Thousand Tears. That's really interesting, because is that the Purge?
I think so, right, Zoe?
Okay.
I thought the Night of a Thousand Tears was the Siege of Mandalore, but
okay, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. They haven't been super clear with exactly what the timeline is.
It's
everything.
It's I've heard so many things for Mandalorians. It's Siege of Mandalore, Night of a Thousand Tears.
Wikipedia. Let's see.
Right,
yes.
right.
No, it's according to Wikipedia, which granted is fan created. This Night of a Thousand Tears is part of the Siege of Mandalore, where the gunships were flying over. So.
Okay, and it's tragic for Mandalore, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I really like that idea. I'm not going to say that's like, Star Wars doctrine, or canon. I don't know, but I really like that idea that
You don't
the
have that
reason
power yet.
he doesn't, right, he one day maybe you'll be in the story group, but maybe the reason he doesn't take it off is because there was a tragic event in the past, and he just decided I'm never taking it off again. Yeah, who knows? Maybe we'll find out in season 2.
I was talking about this with friends once, and I said maybe they're just like more strict Mandalorians. Like the other Mandalorians are normal, but then that clan that we see in the show is like the Mandalorian Amish or something.
Right, Mandalorian Amish. Yeah, right. Okay, I see what you mean. More fundamental, more like by the book, letter of the law kind of thing. This is the way, they say.
This is the way.
Right.
How did it feel being killed by the Mandalorian?
Well, since I wasn't alive, we can't really say I was killed. Maybe deactivated or disintegrated, but
right.
I knew it was coming. So,
I think Baby Yoda definitely did that.
Yeah, of
you
course.
think so?
Yeah.
He does do the magic hands thing, and sometimes force, comes out of that. But anyway, how did it feel? Well, as a character, I felt nothing because I was just deactivated. My switch was just turned off. But as an actor, I got to be, wired with pyro because I was going to, have explosions, and I was going to, die or fall down again. What is it? Droids and falling down for me. Anyway, so what they did is, Zero's looking for the child. He finds the child finally. And in a surprise moment, instead of me killing or trying to kill the child, Mando disintegrates me or deactivates me. That was I loved being part of a cool twist moment,
right.
and and then of course the falling part, you just we're gonna do this shot 12 times, and I'm gonna fall down in different ways and see which one looks good, and then I'll sleep tonight. It's just fine. We just keep getting up and doing it. It's really it's a really cool moment though. My son Hudson went to school and was telling his friends, hey, my dad's in the Mandalorian. He's the one who tries to kill, in his words, Baby Yoda.
Oh, no.
And his friends were like, first of all, we don't believe you that your dad tried to kill Baby Yoda, because Baby Yoda is awesome. And also, they need more proof, because you never see my face, right? And I'm like you. I like being behind the mask. I like having a character that I can, the mask is really, really helpful as an actor to, you can play whatever you want behind the mask, because the mask speaks so much. It is harder to be an actor and act with your eyes when they're not giant chrome, bug eyes.
Right.
But anyway, the moment, what was it like? It was so much fun, because you're just pretending like when you're a kid, when you're playing shootout with your friends, and you're like, I got you, you're dead. No, I'm not. I didn't die. You missed me, like that. It was just like that. It was just all like pretending as a kid, but as an adult, it's just the most fun.
You should have gotten up and like, no, I'm not.
Yeah. That would have been awesome if Werner Herzog wasn't just shortly, just close by offset, and then I just kept remembering, this is serious. This is serious work. You are a character. Yeah. So anyway, not a ton of goofing off on set. Not a lot of blooper stuff, but
did you get to hold Baby Yoda?
Did I get to hold the child? I will say I got to pet the child, but I didn't do a lot of hands-on, because I didn't want to break
You
anything.
didn't want to fall in love. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I fall in love. Well, we all fell in love with the child because he's so adorable.
He is.
It's those big dark eyes. That's really, they're hypnotizing.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
obviously, the child was a huge secret before the show came
Right.
out. Like no one really knew. So what was it like having to keep the existence of the child a secret for so long?
I just, from the first time I saw him and realized, oh, he's the point of the whole season. I'm seeing this on my very first day I saw him. And this is a whole year and a half before the show's going to come out. And I'm seeing him for the first time, and I'm realizing this is the point of the whole show, that he's going to be the big secret. I just put it out of my mind. I just never, I just didn't think about it anymore because I didn't want to be tempted to talk about it. I didn't tell anybody about it. I didn't tell my kids about it. Nothing. However, my sons and I took a tour of Legacy Effects where the child was made. And so we went in the summer before the show came out. So they actually got to see the child before he appeared on screen. And they were so good. They didn't tell anybody about it. And I was so proud of Porter and Hudson for not revealing the biggest secret. But because I didn't know what episode he was going to be revealed. I didn't know if it was going to be like at the end of the season or the beginning. I didn't know. So I was so happy that he was revealed at the end of the first episode. So, okay, now I can talk about it finally. I don't have to wait another, several weeks or months.
I'm surprised they were able to keep that a secret.
I am too.
Like,
I am too.
You know what? Like, not that I know, but like, I feel like no one knew.
No. Yeah, I didn't hear about anything on forums, or I didn't in conversations of fans that were, interested in the show or anything. Nobody talked about it. So I was like, wow, they did such a good job, and it's a big crew, and it's really, important to keep those things special, because when they're revealed on screen, it's, that's how you want them to be revealed. You don't want them to be revealed on like rumors and stuff like that. You want to be surprised. So I was grateful that as a fan, I got to be surprised in that moment, just like everybody else, because I didn't know when he was going to be revealed.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you guys think when you saw him for the first time?
Baby Yoda?
Yeah.
The child?
The child.
My goodness.
Were you expecting?
I didn't understand.
Right.
I just so they were like, oh, and it's 50 years old. And like the thing is, the little orb is there and it's opening up. And I was like, is it a head? Like, what's going on?
Ooh.
I don't understand.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be weird.
And then he was there, and I just died on the inside. I didn't know what to think. I was like, is this real? Wait.
Right.
Hold on.
What did you think it was? Did you think it was something different?
What do you mean? Like,
I mean, he looks like Yoda, but
right.
His species, but I'm curious what people think when they first saw him, like what went through their mind.
I knew it couldn't have been Baby Yoda, like actual Baby Yoda. So
you mean Yoda as a child?
Yes.
Right. Uh-huh.
So
at this point, Yoda has already become one with the Force, right?
Yes.
This is 5 years after Return of the Jedi.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just wasn't sure. I was like, wait, what is that? And it had like the big ears and like the eyes. I was freaking out, and I was eating pie too. And I was like, it's the cutest thing I've ever seen. How did they make it so cute?
I like that you remembered what you were eating when you saw Baby Yoda for the first time. It
was that memorable.
Wow. That's
great. And
I'm not sure what went through my head, but I just remember going, "Oh, Baby Yoda!" Just instantly. Like that was my first reaction, because that was like the last thing I guess I expected. I don't know what I expected, but it was not
right.
That. Not something so cute. I thought it'd be something gross, like you were saying, a head or what?
Babu
Something.
Frick.
Right. Babu Frick.
I love Babu Frick. Don't be
Oh,
mean
poor
to
Babu
Babu.
Frick. He's
He's
not
cool.
gross.
He's cool.
Yeah.
Just like it would have been funny
And
if he was in there instead of Baby Yoda.
he popped out and was like, "Hey,
Hey!
Oh, that's funny. Yep.
Uh,
Well, cool. And what did you think when you saw IG-11?
ooh, I really like. Okay. So when we first heard about IG-11,
Mhm.
everyone was saying like, "Oh, it's IG-88," because we didn't know if it was IG-88 or not.
Yeah, because
We didn't know the name.
John revealed a shot of him on his Instagram,
Right.
but no
So
explanation.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I was the one that was like, no, that's not IG-8. Why would they use IG-88? Like, and so I was looking, I was like, everyone was like, it's IG-88. And I was like, no, hold on. And like, I looked at like pictures of IG-88 and IG-11. I was like, that's not the same at all. Like,
Wow, good for you.
and I was like, that, like the sash is different, like this little pattern here. And
Wow.
I was like, that's not him. And, my dad and everyone were like, oh, no, like, droid parts can change. And I was like, yeah, but, like, not that, like, no.
Well,
And
like C3PO, he had a silver leg, and then when he was first chromed, he was all gold.
right.
So, your
But,
dad's
like,
right.
that was a paint job. So this was more like the actual patterns
Structure.
of it.
I see. Okay. Yeah.
I will point out that as a friend of many R2 builders, every
Yeah.
R2 in every movie is different parts, like just slightly,
Mhm.
Right. Good observation. That's right.
Because I know they complain about it sometimes.
That's funny.
Well,
Yeah, he was such a cool character too, and a practical one, meaning that he was actually on set, and it was really cool to see him. The first time I saw him was he was laying on a table, and Queel was working on him. And by the way, Queel, played by Misty Rosas, you should talk to her. She is so awesome. She is such a great. Did I lose you? Oh, hello.
Hello.
Oh yeah, there you go. She is such a positive, awesome person, and she's the one who played Queel on the show. She is you would really love talking to her. Anyway, so full of positivity and such a talented performer, not only as a creature performer but also as a singer and a dancer as well. She's so cool.
We will definitely try to get her on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just remember my dad sometimes calls Hawes from the Blue Harvest podcast, and like it's so cute because like Hawes will call my dad when something comes out and they'll just talk about it. And so I was on my way, like my dad was driving me to school, and they were talking about Mandalorian, and Hawes was like, oh, an IG-88, and I told him, I was like, it's not IG-88. I know it's not. I know it's not. I swear. And then they announced it, and then my Hawes called my dad again. He was like, Lizzie was right.
And you're like, I don't want to say I told you so, but yeah. And he had a twist of storyline as well, right? Because we at first he wanted to kill the child, then Queel reprogrammed him to be a nurse droid instead of an assassin droid.
That was so
I was
cool.
not either. Yeah,
I was
as surprised as that as well. Because when you're filming the stuff, you only get the script for your part for that day. You don't get the whole story. So you're filming in parts, and you hope that your performance flows with the rest of everyone else's and the whole storyline. So I was really actually glad for the secrecy, because that meant I could watch the show and still, be a fan of the parts that I didn't, that I wasn't in. So that was cool.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
They definitely wanted you to experience it on your own.
Yeah. I mean, also they didn't want too many people knowing what was going on. So
true.
It's also that, but that was a good side benefit from all the high security on the script.
Right.
Yeah.
So I actually have to go and make some dinner.
Wow, real life? Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
real life.
So fun talking with you guys.
It's so great talking to you.
Yeah, it was
and
a lot of fun.
learning your experiences.
Oh, thanks. I really appreciate it. So you guys go watch, if you haven't already, the Disney Gallery series, The Making of the Mandalorian.
Of course.
I think I started it, and it looked really good.
Yeah. So, and then go, there's so many talented people that work on this show, and all of them love Star Wars. And they really do such a good job of bringing the familiar, and the new together into a great show. So I'm just so thankful for this opportunity to be on it. And I'm so glad that fans get to have more Star Wars.
Yeah, we're so grateful that you're part of the Star Wars community.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you so much. All right.
Yeah.
Well, you go make dinner.
Yes. Where can we find you?
I'm on Instagram at Chris F. Bartlett.
Okay.
F
awesome.
as in Filoni. My middle name's not Filoni. Chris F. Bartlett. Yeah, that's my Instagram, and that's the same thing on Twitter also. But Instagram's really where I go and connect with friends and fans. They're the most. So I post anything that I'm working on that I can, and the stuff that I can't, you'll eventually see it when you can.
You should do more C3PO impressions.
Oh, really? Well, I do. Okay, I actually have a video coming of me in the booth recording for the Lego Masters show. So while I was recording there, I took some video. So I'll post that up. That's a good idea.
Awesome.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Yes, and may the force be with you.
May the fourth be with
you.
May the fourth.
Yes, that's what I said.
Oh.
Thank you.
All right. You guys have a great day.
You too.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Bye. Well, that was our show. And again, many thanks to Chris for joining us. That was an awesome episode.
It really was. We didn't do our intro.
No. We'll just...
It's fine.
No, figure it out. We'll just pop the music on. That's no big deal.
Cool.
I was Zoe.
I was Lizzy. Wait, what's our business? Where can they find us, Zoe?
Oh, right. You can find us on Twitter at SWGeekGirl. We don't have Instagram, but you can follow our page on Facebook. That's just Star Wars Geek Girl. And you already know how to find the podcast if you're hearing this. But if you want to listen to it another place, we're on SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify. Probably something else.
Probably. Just find out.
If there's a podcast place, just look for us. We might be there.
Perhaps. I need to go make some Kanan dinner.
Some Kanan dinner? What Kanan dinner?
It's like a Thai chicken curry soup.
Fun.
Amazing. Okay, well, I'm gonna go and do that.
All right.
Zoe.
I was Zoe.
Yes. I was Lizzy.
Thank you for listening to Star Wars Geek Girl. May the Force be with you, and goodbye.
Goodbye.
Star Wars Geek Girls. They're geek girls that like Star Wars. And sometimes cry.